Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today I want to talk about the lead sound again. I have a request to make a lead sound from 5 Dimensions, I believe is the track name. And 5 Dimensions is the artist name, Temple of Chaos is the track name. Sorry for that. Before we dive in, I want to give a quick little apology. My latest track, which released the 21st, as of recording right now, isn't on Spotify and all the other streaming services. Unfortunately, they are dealing with COVID, and because they review all their tracks manually and have started work from home, they gave us a heads up that you needed to submit your track earlier for distribution. Unfortunately, I was too late for that and I was unprepared, so that means that it's not up with the YouTube video. I hope I can give you an update soon on that, and if you want to follow me and anticipate that release on Spotify and stuff like that, you can follow me in a link down below. There is a link to some older stuff probably still in there, but for now we have to deal with that, and yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that, if you were wondering. So let's get right into the sound actually. Alright, so I first want to listen to the reference sound which we got, and it's the lead sound again from Dimension 5 Temple of Chaos, and it sounds like this. Which is a really cool sound. Unfortunately I wasn't able to recreate it exactly, but while recreating this there is some cool stuff in here which we can discuss, and some things to keep in mind when doing these kind of saw type lead sounds with the high pass filter, which are fairly common. So let's go over it. This is my recreation, and it sounds like this. Alright, so I'm quickly gonna go over what's happening in Serum, even though it's not much. As you can see, we're doing just some basic stuff here, and then we have some very basic filtering down here. So yeah, what's happening here is that we're using a saw type wave. As you can see, if I open up the harmonics display, you can see that it's a saw type series here, but it has its phases randomized. And that's for a very particular reason. If you have a normal saw wave like this one, you will notice that if I turn this down to the exact value, and we'll turn this down as well to 71 so that they're the same, you will hear that it's a very different sound. It's much clickier. And that's because in the saw wave all the high end happens kind of here, where this click or the snap function is, and then for the rest it's kind of the mid-range part, if you look at the exact waveform. And in this version we have spread it out. We have kind of spread out all the high end over this whole waveform. And to do that, what you would do is you would go in here and then randomize all. So yeah, that kind of helps with the getting a more noisy type of high end. And then the oscillator is detuned, 7 voices, not much special here. We have this LFO which is modulating our cutoff, and we are controlling that by macro 2, so we can turn off or on the modulation. And then we can also use this second macro to do the same modulation if we want to. So that way, if we want to kind of turn off the modulation from the LFO and dial in a different modulation type, we can do that. So that's what's happening in Serum. We do have another filter here which is doing something. At certain points in time you can see we're kind of turning down the high end a little bit, and you can really hear that at the start here. You can hear that there's a slight dip in high end here and here, and then this is also doing a little bit, not that much, but it's still there. So that's all that's happening in Serum actually. Now one of the key features of the sound is this Resonators. And I heard in the reference track that there was kind of this resonator feeling that it had. it had this nice high end which almost sounded like Resonators. I've overdone it a little bit to kind of demonstrate what I meant here. What we're doing is we're taking a Resonators here, and I've set this filter kind of arbitrarily, and I've set the decay all the way up, and then messed around with these gains here. I've turned the width down to keep a more mono signal, and then we're automating the dry wet, so it kind of has more of the resonator sound in certain places and not so much in others. And then finally I'm actually modulating this this note value here, which is not something I would do in the actual sound. I would actually turn this off if you really want to, but I was just kind of testing out what you could do with it. So we set it like this, and without that pitch modulation it just sounds like this. And you can hear that it kind of adds that mid-range that we're looking for. If we turn it off, you can hear it's really lacking in the mid-range. It's still a cool sound, but this kind of helps it a little bit in the mid-range again, and it will help it stick it in the mix a bit better. It's important that you set this to the key of your main sound. I've set it for this note here. You can see that this note is an A sharp, and it doesn't really matter that all the notes have the same key. You don't have to go in and then go into your number one tune, I think it is. And for example, this note, you don't have to go down here, up here, that kind of stuff. But it adds a cool thing, or of course you could do that. That might be a cool way to kind of add more harmonics. As you saw, I had it before, and it kind of helped give it a little bit of a different tone on the second pass. But this is all optional. The point of this Resonators is basically to add some mid-range, and the way you do that doesn't really matter that much. Then we're going to go into an OTT, which just has its timing setting turned up, as well as the output to kind of compensate for the amount of compression we're doing. And then finally a limiter to keep it safe, and some delay. Now in the delay, what we're also doing is we're modulating the filter. As you can see, we have this very slow filter modulation, which kind of moves where the delay is affecting the sound. And that also counts for the feedback, of course, because the feedback actually goes into this filter as well. So keep that in mind, that will also go in there. And yeah, that's kind of a cool way to add some more movement to your sound, and yeah, make it a bit different than what you would normally have if you just threw on a filter and didn't edit it at all. So yeah, that's the sound. It's a little bit of a shorter video. It's under 10 minutes. Normally I hope to get at least 10 minutes of video for you guys. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you have any sounds that you would like me to recreate, leave them in the comments down below, and subscribe if you haven't, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.